and welcome to the Checkered Flag, the official podcast of Finish Line Racing, a Forza Test Drive and F1 community, brought to you by FLR Productions. Anyway, so obviously if you look at the title, I can't really think of a good intro to do for podcasts, because really I'm only one person, so it's kind of weird talking to myself. But anyway, so we're talking about auto transportation, and this is actually a really cool podcast. I found it on the web. Anyway, some more articles I saw, and I saw this, so it's pretty cool. And so really, you see those trucks on the highways, or maybe boats, whatever it may be, they're carrying those cars on, the trailers. And so, I didn't really ever think about it. I just see them, they're probably going from dealer to dealer, whatever it may be. But, sometimes they may go nationwide, sometimes they may go international. And so really, where are these cars going? What are they actually doing? And so new cars can be driven to their respective dealerships because the consumers would want, new vehicles. They don't want them driven, however many miles. So actually more than 16.1 million new vehicles were sold in 2007. And most of these vehicles are manufactured in one of 71 assembly plants located throughout North America. And then the rest were imported from Europe or Asia. And they actually had to be transported to 14,285 new car dealers in the U.S. That's from Automotive News in 2008. And so, obviously, if you want to get those cars to places, you got to have different ways to do it, and you got to have a lot of, manpower and vehicles to do that. And really, automakers spend billions to transport vehicles to the dealers, and it's sometimes you might see that on the window sticker. You'll see like the destination charge, and that's what it's for. So, there's different ways that they may do it. Like I said, they may have trucks, and they may. That's really for, of course, U.S. They don't do it internationally that way, obviously. You can't do that. And really there's different methods. They can be transported by airplane, large ship, railroad car, or truck. And actually, when the President's limousines are airlifted by Air Force C-5 Galaxy cargo planes, very few personal vehicles are transported by airplane. So that's really one exception that he uses. Obviously, you need that. And you may have exotic collector cars, race cars, or whatever may need to get place to place pretty quickly. So you may see that on planes, but very rarely will you. And, ocean vessels actually are probably one of the major ways to get cars from place to place. Some can hold up to 8,000 cars or trucks, but most are around 4,000, 5,000. And these are usually, cars. Trucks they're different, a lot less, of course, because they weigh a lot more. And Toyota will actually import 1.1 million vehicles to America from Japan. And they usually have about 30 ships that they chartered to do this. And so they have 2 on the east coast of the United States and 3 on the west, which from the cargo ship to go to truck or rail car. And actually that maybe about 65 to 75% of vehicles sold on the U.S. will travel on rail before an 18-wheeler auto transport tractor trailer will make their final delivery. So the average distance for a truck transport will be about 250 miles radius, and they just go back and forth. They don't really go across the United States. They can, but that's really for custom cars, whoever it may be. Usually they're just on rail cars. And of course, going by rail, they have these little box cars that actually you would think that they just lay them out, one after the other horizontally. But they're actually stacked vertically and horizontally. So you'll probably have maybe 3 cars, one on top of the other, and then you'll have maybe another 3 cars in that one trailer car. So that's pretty cool. And so usually, they also have 2 decks for SUVs and trucks. And usually the trains can carry around 800 vehicles themselves, but it also depends on, the train themselves, how powerful they are. And they usually travel for about 1,300 miles. And so vehicles are loaded onto auto tracks at the assembly plants. And, of course, sometimes they might have ramps, sometimes it might be cranes, whatever it may be. And, of course, then they're shipped out across the United States, or sometimes maybe even Canada. And, of course, you have going by trucks. This, of course, is it's pretty costly because you have gasoline for the truck, and, it's the slowest method that they have. But it's also for more localized movement. And Toyota, like I said, averages 45 million total highway miles annually to deliver 2 million vehicles to nearly 1,500 Toyota and Lexus dealers across the United States. I love these stats. Anyway, so today's tractor-trailer auto transporters, they usually carry up around maybe 12 vehicles. They have 4 vehicles, and 8 vehicles are placed on double-deck trailers. So you'll have, maybe you have maybe 4 or 5 on the bottom. You might have 4 or 5 on the top, and then you might have like 2 or so on actually top of the truck itself. You might see that hanging over the driver's cab, which in all honesty is really creepy. I don't like. It's weird having like a 4,000-pound car above your head. I don't like that. But anyway, so they're powered by hydraulic ramps, and they can be raised or lowered to have a smooth approach or a ramp to actually place the car wherever it has to go. Then they just chain them up to the rig, and away they go. And it's actually not that easy to operate one of these trucks to get these cars and where they have to go. Because first the car has to be loaded in, and then the ramp has to be moved up for another car. So actually, it takes about 90 minutes just to fully load this truck. And, lots of different sized cars. You may have some coupes, you may have some sedans. They can actually take up to 4 hours, some people say. So actually, the obvious fear is cars falling off on the highway, but they said it's very rare that it actually happens, because you have chains and straps, actually, that secure it to the trailer. You'll have maybe chains connecting the drive axle, and then you have straps going up around the car. And so it's not very likely for it to happen. The only way it would happen if it was driver error. So then, of course, they, like I said with the straps, that's how it works. And then, of course, you have personal auto transport. And this is actually, this is pretty cool. That, if people have a lot of money, they can, transport their cars wherever they have. Or even if you are on a budget, there's ways to do it. Sometimes you may see those U-Haul trucks that, they might have a trailer of another car in the back if you don't, if you can't have someone drive it, or maybe you don't want to drive it if it's a special car. So maybe it might be a student going to college, or who knows what it might be. So it's pretty cool. They have, U-Haul usually does that, and it's pretty nice that you can do that by yourself. And of course, you also might see larger RVs or stuff carry that, cars with them too. And what really kind of, it's not the best way to explain it, but, when you have overseas travel, on those ships, those ships can be knocked around quite a lot. You have the storms that come around, and actually, in 2006, in July of 2006, Mazda, unfortunately, they lost more than 4,700 new cars when the Cougar Ace nearly capsized and near the Aleutian Islands. And they rescued the ship, and all the vehicles were saved, but they cannot sell any of the cars new or used, regardless of how little damage to the vehicles. Obviously due to water damage, but it kind of sucks that they lost that many cars. Sure, a pretty penny, I bet. Then also in 2002, in December, a Norwegian car carrier, Tricolor, was struck by a container ship, Kariba, in the English Channel. The Tricolor sunk in 30 minutes with more than 2,000 luxury vehicles aboard it. Then in November of 2002, nearly 3,700 vehicles were lost when the Huel Europe caught fire after being grounded during a typhoon near a Japanese island. Then, of course, in May of 2004, you have the MV Hyundai number 105. It collided with an oil tanker off the coast of Singapore and sunk with nearly 4,200 vehicles aboard. And actually, law prohibits for the vehicles to stay on the bottom of the ocean. So not only do you lose all those cars and all that money, you have to go back down there and get those vehicles out. And that's pretty bad. But one way to help, actually, this is kind of pretty cool that no one knows about, is that most automakers that have maybe OnStar or might have some kind of navigation system built in, it'll be waterproof. So that way, even if the car batteries go out, if it goes in the water, that part of the car will still be working no matter what. It has its own power source. Not for very long, maybe like a week or so without a car powering it. But that way you can go down the ocean and you can find pretty reliantly where that car is. Or maybe if your car's stolen, so that's pretty cool. And then, of course, you actually have a number of failed crashes when you have auto transports. And some people are saying, oh, I don't want to drive behind these things. One of these cars fall off. They're not likely to happen, but there's actually more accidents, loading these cars or unloading them, whatever it may be. In 2005, you have 4,932 fatal accidents involving large trucks, 31 of which were auto transporters, which was only about, 0.6%. And then only 40 of them were in 2006 when there was 4,732 fatal accidents, which was 0.8%. So really, you got more trucks out there doing more damage than those things. So obviously, be safe around them, but they're not really nothing's going to happen. But of course, you have different accidents that may involve with those trucks, or maybe a car falling off, or maybe someone getting injured when they're trying to unload them or load them. Then, of course, you have the future of auto transport. This is pretty cool. Auto transport trailers right now, they're kind of limited. They can't be taller than 13.5 feet for states in the eastern half of the country, or 14 feet high in the western half. And it only can be 75 feet long, with 4 feet of overhang in the back and 3 feet of overhang in the front. And the maximum width is 102 inches, and except for safety equipment such as a ladder or whatever it may be. And they cannot exceed 80,000 pounds. So obviously, there's limits to what they can be, but they want to try to get as many cars out and get as much profit as they can with the least amount of money spent. And of course, now there's the future of auto transport. Right now, of course, trucks they go from one place to another. They log in, they call up whatever they may do. But in the future, they might use GPS and cellular technology. And of course, this stuff has been around a while. Most people think, oh, it's probably already out, isn't it? But no, it's not. Most of these trucks, they may, they have radios, whatever in them, but they don't use GPS to track them and, whatever else they might do with them, such as, auto logins and whatever it may be. Then, of course, you have, the trucks. They're not exactly the most fuel-efficient things around, and they want to use clean diesel engines, biofuels and exhaust treatments, whatever it may be. And they actually want to use hybrid models soon, which has electric motor assists, similar to Toyota Prius. Ugh. So actually, it's going to be a little bit different for a truck than it would be a car with that hybrid. What it would have the electric motor providing most of that torque, most of that energy, with the gasoline engine providing the power to the electric engine. So what this does is that the electric engine is taking all of that stress, all of that power on it. So it's staying at a constant rate, or whatever. It's not taking a lot of gas for that to work, while the gas engine is constantly running at a certain pace, whatever. So it's not going to be straining. It's not going to be using a lot of force to move the truck, so that we have more fuel-efficient cars or trucks for the car movers. And so that's basically it of car transportation. And there's different ways, like I said, to do it. But one little quick tidbit I like to put in here is that in 2008, one guy from Qatar paid $42,000 to have his Lamborghini LP640 airlifted to London. They may be saying, okay, so, he's got money, he can, bring it there if he wants to. But you want to know why he did it? He did it for an oil change. Alright? He shipped his car to London for $42,000 for an oil change. And a lot of people were angry about it. It was 6,500 miles. God. Oh, God. And the oil change itself was $6,500. It's kind of odd, $6,500 and a 6,500 mile trip. But anyway, so that's what he did, and people are angry at him. But if you want to learn more, you can visit us on the web at www.flrleague.org or our new podcast blog that may not coincide with podcasts. It may, I'm not sure yet. That is tcfpodcast.wordpress.com with a custom domain name coming soon. You can also tweet us, twitter.com/tcfpodcast. And we're setting up our YouTube channel still, and you can also listen to our podcast on YouTube when that's set up. So that's it. Hopefully you liked it, and once again, email us, podcast@flrleague.org if you have a suggestion or you want to have some listener mail. So that's it, and subscribe and have a good day.